Yo, 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 Swaggy B34 once again in his house. About to talk about another one of my favorite consoles growing up. Though I didn't have this one growing up, but a lot of my friends did. And let's just say I was obsessed with it. And that is none other than the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or the Super NES, or SNES as we all affectionately call it. And before we get to what I'm really about to talk about, I'm going to briefly show you some carts of three of my favorite SNES games. Of course, we got, the one that's the pack-in title, Super Mario World. It's definitely one of my favorite Mario games ever. It's one of the best games ever in the SNES. Anyway, another one that was also a launch title I really like too is F-Zero. Yeah, it's a really stellar racing game. You got some cool color combos with cars, different attributes, plus... And it's got a kick-ass soundtrack too, in my opinion. And of course, this game I've only started playing last year, but it's become now one of my favorite SNES games of all time. And for a lot of people, this is their favorite Zelda game of all time. And that is none other than The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I mean, I'll admit, my favorite Zelda game of all time, a lot of you know, is still Ocarina of Time, but I can still see why a lot of people consider this as their favorite Zelda game of all time. I mean, it's got pretty much everything you'd want in a Zelda game. Let's just say that. Alright, without further ado, let's get to what I really want to talk about, which is the Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the SNES Library, baby. Well, hell, let's just get right into it. And of course, written, again, by Pat Contry, or, as y'all know him as, Pat the NES Punk. And anyway, here we go. There's some old school ads you probably saw in like comics and old school video game magazines, or even a lot of other magazines back then. Alright. Keep going. Got your table of contents. Oh, and we gotta get to see some quick cart variants real quick. So, this is like the original North American Super NES cart they had from like 91 up until the spring of 1993, like it says right here. And then this one right here is the Super Famicom cart. Of course, is the original version of the Super Nintendo cartridge, though this one looks like it's a PAL, this one looks like it's a PAL cartridge in Europe, or any PAL regions, really. What am I saying? And of course, these are the SNES carts that they have made in North America since the spring of 93. Yeah. Alright, so let's go to the keys to the guide, because like the last guide, this one also has star ratings. Though this one just doesn't have the bomb. The worst is half star, which is poor, which is no bright spots at all, no fun to be had, barely playable. And you have 1 star, which is very bad, little merit, a very troubled game that's still playable with almost no fun factor. And then there's 1.5 star, which is bad, it's got some merit. A game with problems, but is still playable and might have bright spots. 2 stars, which is below average. More problems than the average game. 2.5 stars, which is average. Run-of-the-mill, could be fun, but issues hold this back from being a standout. And 3 stars, which is above average. An enjoyable game with more positive attributes than negative. 3.5 stars, which is good. An enjoyable game with some slightly negative attributes. 4 stars, which means very good. A very fun and enjoyable game with few flaws slash setbacks. See, I'm tripping all over myself here. It's okay, not like my last video, though. Anyway, 4.5 stars, which is excellent. An outstanding game with very few minor flaws. And 5 stars, which is just an absolute classic. Closest to perfection you'll find in a game in both concept and execution. Alright, so here, with that in mind, because thing is, just like the last guide, this covers, like the first, 800 or so titles, or whatever the hell. It covers all the North American and the PAL releases. But here, I'm going to give you an example of a game that has the very poor rating. See if I can find one of those real quick. You gotta bear with me here, peeps. Okay, one game I heard of that was really bad that the nerd did review was Wizard of Oz, and I'd have to agree, I did play that one. That one's a fucking piece of shit. I know it's around here somewhere. Right. Sorry, it's going to give me a second. Oh, 2 stars. Okay, that's generous. Okay, this SNES guide is way more generous than me and the nerd. It gave Wizard of Oz 2 stars. In case y'all doubt what I'm saying, see right there, 2 stars. Oh, see right there. All right, now I'm trying to find a game that kind of fits the definition of poor. You have to give me a second here, peeps. Though if I happen to come across a 5-star classic, I'll review that. Wait a minute. Hold on. I think NFL football is poor. Oh, here we go. Finally. I don't know if this is the best example, but it's the easiest one I could find. Example of a poor game. And that is none other than NFL football for the SNES. And I'll give away the brief stats real quick. It's a sports game released in July of 1993 in the North America and PAL regions. It's developed by Park Place Productions, published by Konami. It's 1 and 2 players simultaneous. It's got a password save. And this one's common. And of course, this is the one that's half a star, which means it is poor. Yeah. I mean, let's just say there are a lot better, football alternatives for the SNES, namely Tecmo Super Bowl. Which, if you want to see how good that one is real quick, let me show you. That is an example of a 5-star classic, baby. Tecmo Super Bowl. But sorry, I know that wasn't. But that was just an example of a classic game. I'll review this. I'll just read through this one real quick, at least as far as the initial stats go. It's a sports game. It was released in November 1993 in North America. It was both developed and published by Tecmo. It's 1 or 2 players. It's got a battery save, which, well, it's very helpful. Probably one of the reasons why this is a 5-star classic. And this one's common, and, well, like I said, 5 stars, baby. But you know what? Like 2 of those games that I just showed you are also 5-star classics. Here. Just to prove that I'm right. I was there. God damn it. I was fucking right there. Oh, wait. Well, here's another example of 5-star classic, baby. Street Fighter 2 Turbo Hyper Fighting. I mean, what do I need to say about it? I mean, it's like one of the best versions of Street Fighter 2 that you'll ever play. I promise you. And I'm not the kind of guy that throws promises lightly. Alright, so, where is it? I know it's around here. Yeah. Ha! Right here. Boom. Super Mario World. See, there's even a whole page done, dedicated to it. Now, if I remember correctly, I think the same was like that for Legend of Zelda as well. Yep. Boom. Right there, baby. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Once again, one of the greatest Zelda games you'll ever play. Well, anyway, that's pretty much all I'm going to go over for the games, because, just like the last book, I'm not going to go through this whole thing. It's 450 fucking pages. I mean, but I do... But here, I'll tell you more about, why you should get this here in a second. But right now, I'm trying to get past all the titles. Oh man, I'm actually looking through some of the shitty wrestling games right now. Anyway, we're going to look at some of the special and promo carts. Like we had the Donkey Kong Country competition cart right here. And we had the, those who want to know some obscure stuff, the Miracle Piano Teaching System. For all you music lovers. And looks like they had some MAC cartridges, which was pretty much, well, the M8 or MACS cartridge, which stands for Multi-Purpose Arcade Combat Simulator. It was pretty much like what SNES, what the military used for combat simulation. Yeah, and what's funny is like the peripheral that they used that was required was a MACS M16 light gun. Yes, but those are the only carts I ever used that, and it was obviously never released to the public for, well, obvious reasons. I mean, because looking at this picture, the M16 almost looks like the real thing. Right, and then we got Nintendo Campus Challenge 92 and Nintendo Power Previews program cartridge. And it looks like, oh, you can get some, it looks like a kind of a demo unit, couple demo units, it looks like. Well, I could be wrong about that, though, too. Feel free to tell me in the comments. And then you got Nintendo Power Fest 94. What else we got? Super Star Fox Weekend, or known as Star Wing Competition in Europe. And we got some test carts. Right there. And what kind of test carts we got? So burn-in cassette with controller test. Got a burn-in/test cart. It's an NTF 2.5 test cart, or whatever the fuck that is. I don't know why I said that last part. And of course, the Super Scope test cart. Jeez. You almost wonder if the Nintendo was a little more interesting as a review. I don't know. Or NES, I mean. And of course, you got the Super Famicom Spotlight. Oh yeah, and as a correction in my last video, I know how I showed y'all the picture of the Famicom and I called it Super Famicom. Yeah, that was a mistake. That was actually a Famicom I showed y'all in the last video. Anyway, yeah, they got some super. But anyway, you got Battlecross, Paddle Pinball, Breakthrough Bullet, Final Car Fight, Battle Mobile, Captain Tsubasa 3, Kaiser's Challenge. Got Chatty, Commentary, Paradise, Clock Tower. Oh, you got some Dragon Quest games. Got Dragon Quest 5 and 6. Though I'm starting to wonder, I think these might have gotten re-released to the States. It could be wrong. I mean, more than welcome to tell me. Ooh, Final Fantasy 5. OG, I'm sure. And then you got Genocide 2, Fire Emblem Theatraka 776, and also hell, we got 3 Fire Emblem games right here. For all you Fire Emblem fans out there, this one's for you. Yeah, baby. It's Kunio's Dodgeball. Okay, anyway, it's Kunio's Dodgeball. Assemble, everyone. Yeah, I just decided to randomly show you that. I don't know why. I haven't even played that game before. An Iron Commando. Oh yeah. Yeah, it looks like one of the beat 'em ups I used to play back in the day. Hopefully. Oh yeah, it's a beat 'em up. Because for a second I was afraid it'd be a fighting game like fucking Fighting Street on that fucking Taito fighting game. No, not fight. No, it's Violence Fight, not Fighting Street. Sorry, Fighting Street was the TurboGrafx 16 re-release of the original Street Fighter. Yeah. I'll talk about that one some other time. Hell, I could do a whole other video on that shit. And you got Jackie Crush, King of Demons, Shell. Almost looked like a fucking Altered Beast variant for a second. Kamen Rider, Magical Poppin', Maka Maka, Martian Adventure, Cotton 100%. I guess it's about cotton, I guess. I don't know. Oh, Mario and Wario! This is one of those puzzle games. Okay, this looks a lot like, you know, Mario Party. Like one of the Mario Party games. I could be wrong. So Mario Super Picross, this you can find on the Super Nintendo Switch online. Which is kind of cool. Marvelous Another Treasure Island. I never really played that one much, so I honestly don't know. Meet Sumama Bravo #1. And Mickey's Great Adventure in Tokyo. And then Mobile Suit Gundam Wing Endless Duel. God, a lot of games. And here's one. And one of my favorite video game characters, except they're going by his proper name in Japan. And that's Rockman and Forte. Which is Mega Man and Bass. Oh wait, I think they did re-release... Okay, so they re-released this game for the Game Boy Advance and just called it Mega Man and Bass. Okay. Interesting. I might have to track that one down. Okay, Sanrio World Smash Ball. Okay. And here is probably the best Back to the Future game from way back in the day, but Japan had it. And it's Super Back to the Future. And it's just miles better than any fucking release for Back to the Future we ever got in the States. I mean, pick your platform. Whether it's fucking Genesis or NES. We got fucked over. At least here in the States. I mean, if you wanted to know more about that, just watch the nerds' earliest reviews of Back to the Future. He'll tell you all about it. And we got Super Bomberman 5, Super Dimension Fortress, Super Fighter Pro Wrestling X Premium, Super Ninja Kun, or Kun. I don't even know if I even said that shit right. God. Anyway, Taekwondo, sports fighting game. And Tales of Fantasia. Damn, a lot of RPGs. And here we have some unreleased SNES games. Like Apocalypse 2, Atmosphere, Barbie Vacation Adventure, Batman, probably for the original Batman movie. I think it was supposed to be... Okay, and then Batman Revenge of the Joker for SNES. But they did come out with that in Genesis, which is interesting. Bobby's World, Congo the Movie, Secret of Shinji, Cornbuster, Urit, Fire Team Rogue, Jelly Boy 2, Lobo. Yeah, there's a game. Yes, that Lobo from DC Comics. They actually made a game on him, but, well, it never saw the light of day, apparently. Mick and Mac as the Global Gladiators. Though, of course, one time we'll see Lobo in a video game again, as originally as a DLC character for Injustice Gods Among Us. Of course, you'll get to automatically play as him once you get the complete edition of that. And then Mickey's Playtown Adventure, A Day of Discovery. You got Mr. Bloopy Saves the World, Mr. Tough, you gotta have the F's, because the O and H just ain't enough, man. Yeah, NFL Football Untitled NFL football game. I was supposed to be a sequel to the shitty NFL football I kind of just covered a little bit ago, or earlier in this video. Anyway, there's Nightmare Busters, Prime, Quick the Thunder Rabbit, Rally, the final round of the World Rally Championship, The Shadow, yes, that shitty movie that Alec Baldwin is in. And then Shadowhawk, Socks the Cat Rocks the Hill, yes. I think it's about Capitol Hill. Yeah, it is. It's dumb. Sound Fantasy, and Spot Goes to Hollywood. Oh, look, Star Fox 2. Though, what's funny, I think during the time that this book came out, it was originally an unreleased game. But the one wondering is if this book came out around the same time as the SNES Classic. Because it was in that was the first actual North American release for Star Fox 2. Because I'll admit, up until then, I originally thought the second Star Fox game, or even the second one even, was Star Fox 64. I'm sure a lot of us peeps here in North America did. Until this came along. Anyway, Steven Seagal is the final option. Oh, God. Though, if he's our final option, I'd say we're fucked. Well, that's all I'm going to tell you. If it was really the case. And Super Shadow of the Beast, Tin Head, and Universal Soldier. Yes, there's supposed to be a game, but never saw the light of day either. And Wily's Revenge. And, well, screw it. We'll talk about... Well, that's pretty much it for the games. Oh, I made shake the camera there. So we'll talk about, well, as SNES and notable accessories. Starting, of course, with your consoles. Of course, that's your standard North American console. And that is the Super Famicom. Or actually, what that looks like the European... Actually, it's the European console. And then you got the Super Nintendo controller, the ones in North America. And then that's the one in Europe. And then this is the Model 2 that came out in 1997. Yep, I was right. It was released in October of 97. Really late into its life cycle. And here is something that is one of those things I'm sure was a great idea, but priced out a lot of people. And I'm sure a lot of people couldn't fucking afford this. And that was the entertainment system life cycle. Pretty much, you'd have to be a rich motherfucker in order to afford this shit. At least back then. Probably nowadays, too. Then, of course, for all you cheaters out there, the Game Genie. I mean, put in cheats, all that good stuffs. And, of course, you got your Justifiers, which was, the light guns that they were the light gun peripherals for one game, or specifically for Lethal Enforcers on Super Nintendo. Though what's funny is, before this book, I didn't know that there was a Super NES release for Lethal Enforcers, let alone that they had Justifier light gun peripherals for that. I mean, I know they had it for the Sega CD and for the arcade, but that was it. That's all I knew. And of course, you got, like I was briefly talking about earlier, you got the MACS M16 rifle. Of course, if you look at this is not released to the public for obvious reasons. At least I think so. I could be wrong. And of course, you got the Miracle Piano keyboard, which I kind of touched on earlier with the game that came with it. The Super Advantage. You know, probably for all you fighting game fans. And for those who wanted to get the earliest instance of what to see of seeing color in Game Boy games, a Super Game Boy. Or if you want to play Game Boy games on your TV. This is the way to do it back then. And you got your Super Multi-Tap, which allows you to plug in 2 additional controllers. And there's something else too. No, just the controllers, it looks like. You got the Super NES mouse and the pad, which we all mostly use for Mario Paint. I mean, yes, there were a few good games that did use the SNES mouse support, but of course the one game we all used it for the most was Mario Paint, and back then that was really fun. And of course, you know, the Adobe Paint Bucket tools, well, now are probably superior to it now, but probably still so much fun to play, even to this day. Just wish I had it. And the Super Scope, well, compared to the NES Zapper, it's kind of meh. I mean, for example, it's like, instead of the trigger actually being on any of the handles, it's up top, which is the weirdest fucking shit ever, but I don't know. The Super Scope never really took off. I mean, there's a list of games that was either required or is compatible for, like Battle Clash, Bazooka Blitzkrieg, The Hunt for Red October, in the bonus game section, Lamborghini American Challenge in the bonus mode, Lemmings 2 The Tribes, which is a bonus feature, Metal Combat Falcon's Revenge, Operation Thunderbolt, Super Scope 6, obviously, T2 the arcade game, Tin Star, X-Zone, and Yoshi Safari. That's the entire list of games that was compatible with the Super Scope. And apparently, one of the earliest, instances of playing online, which is the X-Band modem cartridge. It was a modem. It was released with an accompanying paying online service for both the Genesis, SNES, and the Saturn, and it allowed for playing multiplayer games online and storing friend lists, saving high scores, and sending emails to friends. And the network looks like the network was taken offline on April 30th, 1997, due to lack of support and new games being made compatible with the service. And there are 15 games that this service supported, and those are none other than Doom, Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball, Killer Instinct, Kirby's Avalanche, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past X-Band Maze Game, Madden NFL 95 and 96, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, NBA Jam Tournament Edition, NHL 95, NHL 96, Super Mario Kart, Super Street Fighter 2, and Weapon Lord. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Oh, sorry. Okay, I guess that's it. And of course, there's another article in here written by the guy that's the Angry Video Game Nerd by James Rolfe. This one is about the console wars between Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. Of course, I'm not going to really say too much about that. If you guys want to know more about the console wars, you either read, the Console Wars book written by Blake Harris. I mean, you could find it as an audiobook on Audible. Plus, you can also, if you have Paramount Plus, they also have the Console Wars documentary on there. And if you also want another source for that too, is like I also kind of previously mentioned in the last video of that 5-part docuseries on Crackle called Nintendo Playing with Power, and they also talk about the console war at that time too. At least, it's pretty detailed, I think. And of course, somebody said other reasons why you should absolutely revisit Super Ghouls and Ghosts, probably because of many other previous titles, like, you know, there's Ghouls and Ghosts on Genesis, and then there's Ghosts and Goblins on SNES. And then Nintendo and Argonaut, the international partnership that created Star Fox. Because, well, the reason why that's important was because those two companies came together, so that way, because Argonaut had like a special effects chip that they started putting in some of the SNES games to really, you know, bring in what would be known as a pseudo 3D environment. To where, well, anyway, it was a lot of 3D polygonal shapes. One of the first games that really introduced that in North America was Star Fox. And it is beautiful and amazing. And of course, you know, we got to see some of that put to the test also in games, franchises like Donkey Kong Country. Another one of my favorite games of all time, too. I would have showed y'all that card if I had it. Another card I wish I would have showed you guys if I had it, too, was Mega Man X. That's like one of my favorite Super Nintendo games of all time. Right? And then, of course, this one is the Entertainment System Life Cycle. And, oh, I guess I called it the Entertainment System Life Cycle earlier. Well, this one, of course, this one's written by Kelsey Lewin. If you don't know who she is, she's actually a regular on the Metal Jesus Rocks YouTube channel. She's on some of his videos. I think she's got her own videos. Plus, she actually is the owner of 2 game stores in Seattle. If y'all ever in the Seattle area, they're called Pink Gorilla Games. Y'all should check this out if you have a chance. And, well, to be honest, I haven't yet, but if I ever have a chance to go to Seattle, because those are going to be my first stops, going to both locations of Pink Gorilla Games. So, I thought I'd give you a shout out there, Kelsey and Pink Gorilla. You guys are doing good. Keep it up. And, thanks for your contribution to this book. And Super Nintendo, More Than Just a 16-Bit NES by Andre Meadows. Who I know him for his, I know about him for mostly talking about his love for the Power Rangers and all the Morphicons he's been to. Yeah, that's all I got to really say. And of course, The Weird History of the Super NES CD-ROM, Nintendo's Most Notorious Vaporware by Chris Kohler, a guy who was actually interviewed quite a bit in the Nintendo docuseries Playing with Power. And also, he did recently, about a month ago, he actually did make an appearance at one of my favorite retro game stores in Petaluma called Nostalgia Alley. Yeah, that's another thing. If y'all are in the Petaluma area, you want your retro game fix, Nostalgia Alley is the place to go. People there are really nice, and you can tell they really care about what they do, and they go above and beyond. I mean, everything that all video game consoles and games they have, they clean and they test. And everything I've ever gotten from them has always worked, and never had to take anything back. But anyway, enough of that. Bringing this up because, well, I think this was originally around the time where they were supposed to have like the Nintendo PlayStation. Because it was during the time where Nintendo and Sony were kind of working together to make a CD-based add-on for the Super Nintendo. And, well, what's funny is I guess Nintendo got wind of like, well, if Sony, was making like the CD-based games and have like control of and they have control of everything when it came to the CD-ROM market. And Nintendo, I guess, just wasn't happy with that. So I guess that's why they decided at the 91 CES, or for those of you who don't know, it means Consumer Electronics Show, they decided that they publicly humiliated Sony by announcing their partnership with Philips for a CD-based add-on. And at some point, well, we all know that partnership kind of fizzled out because, well, there was the creation of this Philips CDI, and then, of course, those notorious, like, 3 other Zelda games and Mario, which I don't fucking count because they're that fucking terrible. And like I said, if you want to see more on that, just watch the Nerds review on both the CDI Zelda games and Hotel Mario. And anyway. So Sony feeling humiliated, because what's funny, I think it was before Sony went with Nintendo. I think they tried to go with Sega, but Sega Japan said no. So I think that's why peeps at Sega suggested they go with try to go into Nintendo. And then, like I just said, what happened with Nintendo. So Sony's just like, fuck it, we'll just do this ourselves. And they just go on to possibly be the greatest competitor to Nintendo, like, ever. they're still their greatest competitor. And let's just say it blew Sega out of the water. At least the Saturn. Though, I mean, not to say the Saturn didn't have its place. But that's another story. Oh god, there's even pictures of the Philips CDI. Ugh. You want to see what a piece of shit console looks like? There it is. At least in my opinion. Although it's not much of a piece of shit as like, you know, like the Amiga CD32. Yeah, if you don't know about that one, there's a reason for that. And yeah. And of course, there's also one that was written by Norman Caruso, or you all know him better as the gaming historian. This one about when Nintendo bought the Seattle Mariners. We got it to where they had like a 49... I think what it was is like, I think the story was initially that Hiroshi Yamauchi originally wanted like wanted a 60% ownership stake of the Mariners. But I guess some peeps didn't like the idea of a foreigner having majority ownership of a Major League Baseball team based in North America. So I guess that's why Hiroshi, ended up settling for, I think, 49%. I think. Yeah. Yeah, so... But now I think about it, I'm not so sure if they own them nearly as... Yeah, okay. Sorry, I kind of got lost in the thing. But anyway, that's pretty much... Yeah, so at one point Nintendo was minority owner of the Seattle Mariners. I don't know if they are still that. I don't know. But anyway, I think this is a poster that came with a Super NES back in the day. You know, because now you're playing with superpower. Okay, and got your special thanks. And, well, more ads. And of course, the back cover, like I said, nice fully covered, hardcover, like the last one, features some of the biggest games of the SNES. Some of my favorites on here. Oh, and of course, you want to know one of the more expensive SNES titles that I've seen, especially shrink-wrapped? This one, Chrono Trigger. Some places going for at least $1,000. At least if it's complete in box shrink-wrapped. Though, I almost wonder how much Earthbound would be going for. I might have to look that up later. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for my review of the SNES, the Super Nintendo. And I must say, I really enjoyed this review, and I really enjoyed the book, especially when I read it. And I meant to say in the last video too that I really enjoyed the NES book too, because, you know, I felt like I was going back to the happier times of my childhood. But anyway, that's my video. I got a couple more coming. I mean, because I'm about to do an unboxing video soon. Yeah, get ready for that. But the next video I think I'm going to do first is going to be about the evolution of Nintendo's physical media, at least in North America. So get ready for that, guys. Anyway, you guys are amazing. Anyway, if y'all like the video, like and consider subscribing. Anyway, love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Hope you're all having a great day. Peace, everybody.